You wake up one Tuesday morning, stare at the ceiling, and think, you know what? I want to go to the moon. Not because you're an astronaut, not because you have a physics degree, not because Elon Musk personally texted you, just because this is your story. This is your moon. Now, before we get into the actual plan, let's establish one thing clearly. You are ordinary, devastatingly ordinary. You drive a 2009 Honda Civic with a broken AC. Your most impressive physical achievement this year was opening a pickle jar on the first try. You once got winded walking up 3 flights of stairs. But none of that matters right now. What matters is the dream, and also survival, because this whole moon thing has a surprisingly high number of ways to kill you. So let's start at the beginning. Step 1. Decide you actually want this. This sounds easy, but it's not. Because the moment you tell someone, I want to go to the moon, they're going to look at you the way your parents looked at you when you said you wanted to be a YouTuber. That specific mixture of love and deep concern. Your friend will say something like, Bro, you can barely parallel park. Your coworker will forward you a NASA application link as a joke. Your mom will ask if you've eaten. These people are not wrong, but they're also not invited to the moon. Ignore them. The decision has been made. Step 2. Understand what you're actually dealing with. The moon is 384,400 kilometers away. Let that number sit for a second. 384,400 kilometers. If you drove there in your 2009 Honda Civic, which to be clear, you cannot, it would take you about 130 days of non-stop driving. No stops, no bathroom breaks, no gas stations because there are no roads. And the whole thing is a vacuum of cold, empty space that would turn you into a human freeze pop within seconds. But hey, you've decided, so let's continue. Also, the moon has no atmosphere, no air, no warmth. The temperature swings between positive 127 degrees Celsius in the sun and negative 173 degrees in the shade. Basically, the moon is that one apartment with terrible insulation, except the consequences of not dressing appropriately are significantly more fatal. Step 3, get in shape. Kind of. Now, you don't need to become an Olympic athlete, but you do need to not die during the physical training that real astronauts go through. NASA astronaut candidates train for about 2 years minimum. They swim in giant pools in full spacesuits to simulate weightlessness. They learn to fly jets. They study orbital mechanics and geology and medical procedures and Russian. Yes, Russian. So you should probably at minimum start jogging. Start small. Maybe around the block. The first time you try, you will make it approximately 200 meters before stopping to put your hands on your knees and question your life choices. That's fine. That's progress. The moon doesn't care that you look ridiculous. The moon doesn't even have eyes. Also, you should probably start swimming. This one is important because the underwater training, called the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, is where astronauts spend up to 7 hours in a pool learning to do spacewalks. You show up to your local public pool and a small child immediately splashes you in the face. You consider going home. You don't. Good. Keep swimming. Step 4. Figure out how you're actually getting there. This is the part where things get interesting. Historically, there have been only 2 ways a human being gets to the moon. 1, you work for a government space agency and spend your entire career becoming the most qualified human on Earth. 2, you are extremely rich, like embarrassingly, cartoonishly rich. We're talking private rocket rich. Elon Musk has SpaceX. Jeff Bezos has Blue Origin. There are companies right now that are selling seats on lunar missions for figures that contain more zeros than a math anxiety nightmare. SpaceX's Starship, which is the rocket currently being developed for lunar missions, is expected to carry private passengers to the moon eventually. A Japanese billionaire named Yusaku Maezawa already bought all the seats on a planned Starship trip around the moon. He then invited artists to come with him for free, which is honestly the most chaotic energy imaginable. You briefly consider becoming an artist. You draw a stick figure. You accept that this path may not be for you. But here's the thing. Private spaceflight is genuinely opening up. Virgin Galactic has already sent paying customers to the edge of space. SpaceX sent 4 civilians to orbit on the Inspiration 4 mission in 2021. just regular people who paid or were sponsored. The price of getting to space, while still absolutely absurd, is coming down. So the plan begins to take shape. Step 5, get rich or get creative. Option A is becoming wealthy enough to buy a seat on a private lunar mission. This requires either starting a wildly successful company, investing at the exact right time in the exact right thing, or winning a lottery. You try all three simultaneously. The lottery gives you $12. Your startup idea, an app that reminds you to drink water, already exists. You invest in something you read about on a forum. We don't talk about what happened next. Option B, and this is genuinely your best shot as an ordinary human, is to be selected for a mission as a non-professional. This has happened. In 2023, NASA selected what they called the Artemis 2 crew, 4 astronauts to fly around the moon, 3 NASA astronauts, and 1 Canadian Space Agency astronaut. Regular career astronauts? Sure, but the point is the program is active. The moon is on the agenda again after more than 50 years, and private companies are planning commercial lunar missions that may eventually include people who are not professional astronauts. Your move is to make yourself relevant somehow, not by being the best pilot or the most brilliant scientist, but maybe by being exceptional at one specific thing that space missions need: communication, outreach, documentation. There are people on space missions whose job is essentially to explain what's happening to the public. Could that be you? Maybe. You practice explaining things. You start a YouTube channel about wanting to go to the moon. The first video gets 11 views. 3 of them are you. Step 6. Deal with what space will actually do to your body. Even if you somehow get a seat, your body needs to survive the journey. And your body, again, is deeply ordinary. Space is hostile to ordinary bodies in very specific and creative ways. First, launch. You're going to experience G-forces. During launch, astronauts feel around 3 times their body weight pressing down on them. You've never felt 3 times your body weight. You're going to feel like your face is trying to slide off the back of your skull. Your vision may go gray for a moment. You are going to deeply regret the large meal you had before boarding, if they let you board, which they might not if you had a large meal. There are rules about this. Then, zero gravity. Beautiful, you think. Floating. Peaceful. Wrong. Within the first few hours, your body is going to start panicking because every fluid in your system is now shifting toward your head. Your face puffs up. You get a sensation very similar to being upside down, all the time, forever. Approximately 70% of people feel space sick in their first days of weightlessness. You're going to spend the first 2 days of your lunar journey in a very undignified condition. Congratulations, you are in space. Also, your spine. In zero gravity, your spine stretches slightly. Astronauts can grow up to 2 inches taller in space. This sounds fun until you realize it comes with significant back pain. You, who already complains about your lower back from sitting at a desk, are going to have opinions about this. Then there's radiation. Earth's magnetic field protects us from solar radiation every single day. In space, that protection is significantly reduced. A journey to the moon takes about 3 days each way. The radiation exposure is manageable but real. You will spend more of the trip worrying about this than anything else because you read one too many articles about it at 2 a.m. before departure. Step 7. The moon is now in sight. Do not panic. After roughly 3 days of floating around, feeling puffy, eating food from pouches like an adult who has truly lost control of their life, you look out the window. There it is, the moon. Enormous and gray and ancient and completely indifferent to your presence. Something genuinely emotional happens to you here. Every human problem back on Earth, the parking tickets, the group chats, the meeting that could have been an email, none of it can reach you. You are 384,000 kilometers from all of it. This is the part where most astronauts describe something called the overview effect. A shift in perspective that is apparently impossible to explain and impossible to unfeel. You're feeling it. It hits different when it's real. Step 8. Landing on the moon. The descent module separates. You are now in something roughly the size of a large elevator, falling toward a surface that hasn't changed much in 3 billion years. The engine fires to slow you down. Through the window, you can see craters and plains and the long shadows cast by mountains the sun hasn't fully touched in millions of years. The landing legs make contact, dust billows, and then nothing. Silence. You have landed on the moon. You sit there for a second. Just a second. Processing. Then someone hands you a spacesuit and tells you it's time to go outside. Step 9. Stepping outside. The airlock cycles. The hatch opens. You are looking at the lunar surface. It is real. It is gray. It is covered in fine dust that apparently smells like gunpowder when it gets inside. Yes, astronauts have smelled it. Neil Armstrong described it. You are about to step onto a surface that 11 other human beings have stood on in all of history. You are the most ordinary person to ever do anything this extraordinary. You step out. The gravity is 1/6 of Earth's. You weigh about 12 kilograms right now. You take one step, and it feels like slow motion because it is, kind of. You try to walk normally. You don't walk normally. You bounce. Everyone bounces. It cannot be helped. There are hours of footage of very serious astronauts trying to walk on the moon with tremendous dignity, and instead, bouncing around like toddlers on a trampoline. You join this proud tradition immediately. You pick up a moon rock. It is 4.5 billion years old, older than almost everything, older than Earth's oceans, older than the first living cell. You are holding 4.5 billion years of solar system history in your gloved hand. You briefly think about how you almost didn't do this because the couch was comfortable that Tuesday morning. Wild. Step 10. Coming home. The return trip is 3 more days. You are exhausted. You smell bad in a way that a spacesuit can't fix. You have not had a proper shower in over a week. Your back hurts. Your face is still slightly puffy. You have eaten an alarming number of food pouches. You are objectively having the best time of your life, and also the most physically uncomfortable time of your life simultaneously. Re-entry into Earth's atmosphere is where your Honda Civic analogy completely falls apart. You are moving at roughly 11 kilometers per second. The capsule heats up to around 3,000 degrees Celsius on the outside. Inside you are fine. Relatively. The G-forces on the way back are worse than launch. Your body, already confused and tired from 2 weeks of weightlessness, is now being compressed again. It does not enjoy this. You do not enjoy this, but it's almost over. Parachutes deploy. The ocean approaches. Splash down. Boats come. People in dry clothes with warm food appear. Someone hands you something to drink, and it is the best thing you have ever tasted in your entire life. They help you stand because after 2 weeks in reduced gravity, your legs have forgotten what they're for. You wobble. You almost fall over. A professional astronaut next to you also almost falls over. Nobody judges anybody. You look up at the sky. Somewhere up there, just above the atmosphere, and then much, much further is the moon. Still gray, still ancient, still completely indifferent to everything. But you were there. You. Ordinary, pickle jar opening, 3 flights of stairs winded, 2009 Honda Civic driving you. You went to the moon. And honestly, it's the most on-brand ridiculous thing you've ever done. But you'd do it again. The moon doesn't care that you're ordinary, and neither, it turns out, do you anymore.